morning, everyone. Welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and this is a retake of yesterday's video. You can see here I have two hidden paper clips that I'm using for this week's All Things Altered. We're in for another heat wave today. I'm not excited about that, but it'll give me the opportunity to be inside and get some work done. Now, I made 3 of these yesterday, and I'm going to show you a tip on one of them before we go back and remake a new one, which means I'm going to have 4 hidden paper clips for this journal. And I really only need 3, but that's okay. So, and I'm going to wind up redoing this ribbon, I think. That seam binding is just too bulky, but I'm not going to worry about that today. I am going to show you the other one that I made yesterday. And I'm leaving it on the card so that I have something to work with. But I wanted to show you, this is a double folded seam binding, and it's not going to tie well. Now, I could have opened it up and pressed it all out flat, but what I want to do instead, and why I'm leaving this on here, is because I'm going, instead of trying to tie the seam binding, I'm going to tie it together. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take a straight pin here and see if we can't, that seam pin, that's not going to be, it's too thick for a straight pin. So let's go with the paper clip, because I want to hold those two together. And then I'm going to come back with a piece of baker's twine. This particular one is from Stampin' Up. And I'm going to just tie it right at the top of that paper clip. I'm going to tie it relatively tight, just like that. And I could add some charms to this if I wanted, but to ensure that that doesn't come untied, I am going to add a bit of Tombow glue right to the dot of that knot. And then I'm just going to let that set that aside and let it dry. Okay, now here's what we're doing today. Before I do that, I wanted to remind you of our master board that we made in the beginning of this project, because I'm going to be cutting it up at some point. I was going to cut it up for this one, and I thought, no, I wanted to show it off first and remind you what this master board looks like. So, there we go. Okay, for today, we're going to make another one of those hidden paper clips. Oh, I got to grab a paper clip. Hold that thought. No, wait a minute. Maybe I have one here. I do. Woohoo. Okay. I have a couple of different cardboards packaging in my stash in this box of what I'm using. The butter boxes are a little thinner, and because you're going to be using this, you want something that has a little more sturdiness to it. So we're going to use the cookie box, which is what I used on the other 3. And get my headband off of there. I made these, they were 2 inches by 4 inches. So I'm going to cut this down to 4, and then I'm going to cut it to 2, just like that. And remember, if you don't have a scoreboard, you can absolutely use just about anything that you can get in the crease of that you can get in the track of your paper trimmer. And so I'm just going to use my bone folder. And here's another tip. If you want it to fold one way, if you want it to fold in, then you want to score the outside, because you want that little river in there. You want that valley to give, so you've got a smoother fold if you do that. If I'd have folded this way, see, I've got that hill, and it makes it bulkier and it doesn't fold as flat. So if you want to fold in, lay that part down and score on the outside, and then you'll get a nicer fold to that. And you're still going to have to burnish it, and that's okay. I just don't seem to be having the dexterity this morning. Okay, so we have our piece 2 by 4 scored at the half on 2 inches. Now we need a piece of paper for this, and I have my scraps. And I think I want to do something different. I was looking for small stuff. Excuse me, it's really early this morning. I want to get this done and get it uploaded. And as I said, I recorded this yesterday and I was out of frame more than I was in. And we have ones like these. I really think I want to use this. I think I want to use that. I like that. But I don't see anything smaller in that, which was my other thought, was to have something a little smaller. And I'm going to use this. I'm going to use that pattern. Because I kind of like it too. Okay, so there's that. Now, we need to cut this 2 inches by 4 inches. So I'm going to cut 2 by 4. Okay. And that should be all I need of the trimmer. Now, if you're not familiar, the idea of a hidden paper clip is you don't see the paper clip, but it will slide on there anyway, because your paper clip is hidden between your paper layer and your background layer, which is what we're fixing to do now. So I'm going to, I know this is a rubber mat, silicone mat, but I want to use this, so if I get anything anywhere, I'm okay with that. So I need my paper clip. For starters. Let's do that first. And when I do this, I'm going to leave a little bit of a hole at the top so we can excuse me, so we can do our ribbon. So I need to fold this one. And the reason I'm going to fold it first is, watch this. To get that hole where that paper clip needs to come through, I'm going to use my 1/4 inch hole punch. And I'm going to try and find the center roughly. And I'm going to poke a hole, punch a hole. Okay? Then, and I'm going to only glue one side at a time. So bear with me here. See if I can get some glue out of this thing. And the other thing you want to make sure you do is when you slide your paper clip on there, like I said, you're going to make sure that you don't go all the way down. You want to leave a little bit of a hole. And you want to put plenty of glue around the paper clip. I maybe should have grabbed a new bottle of glue. Because you want that to really adhere there. Okay? Then we can come back, slide our paper over the top, and make sure you're hanging on to your paper clip so you don't lose it down through the hole. And it takes a little fidgeting. And you can make that hole bigger if you want. I just prefer to have the smaller hole. There we go. And then slide that back down. I don't want a great big gap up there. Now I've got a little glue on here, but that's okay. That's what my glue eraser's for. I can come back and clean that up. Okay. Now we can flip it over and we can glue on the other side. Again, make sure we have plenty of glue around the paper clip part. Yep, I heard an air bubble. Let's see if this one's any better. I think it is. Oh yeah. Now you know that if I'm working with liquid glue, I'm going to wear it. So it's a given. So now we can push that down. And don't worry about if you're not right on, if you've got the gaps like this, we can come back and trim it up. Right now I just want to focus on getting it glued down and not gluing me as part of it. That was my other trick. I don't want to become part of it. Now this video is going to be a little bit shorter because I'm only making the one. Yesterday I made all 3 of them in the video. It was about 22 minutes long. So it doesn't take long to make these. And I'm going to fold this up so I can really press down now that I've got the glue off my fingers. I don't want to put it back. So Bob will be home on Wednesday. And I'm so ready. Except I'm going to be trying to get ahead of things because I'm waiting to hear back from my brother-in-law to find out whether next week or the following week is the best week for me to come pay him a visit. I've not seen him in several years. Okay, so there's that. Now we have that done. Now, before we do anything else, I want to put something pretty on the front. Now, I had been using these stickers from Crafter Square, and when I pulled my scrap rack apart last week, I found another package of these in the garden section, so I have more of those to work with. I think what I got left on the other one is a little big, so but before I do that, I need to punch one of these, and I'm going to use this paper. Oops, that's the small one. I need the bigger one. I need the bigger one. And I have stuff piled on my spot here. Where it is? There it is. This is 1.5 inches. And I'm going to punch one of these, just like that. This is a retired paper Stampin' Up! Punch. It's a 1.5 inch scallop square. I'm trying really hard to keep my area cleaned up as I go. Now, I want this to be on here, so what I should have done, let me try something. Because I want to do that cattywampus. Let's see if I can punch this cattywampus and not square. And have it look right. Let's try this one. And now I have another sheet for another masterboard. I have an envelope here that I've been collecting scraps for to do another masterboard. Okay. Yeah, so now we can turn that like that, and everything's going the right direction. I like that part. I'm going to try and get the last little bit of glue out of this bottle. Like that. And then we need one of these, and I think I'm going to drop, I think I want this one. I want this one, I think. But we've got this whole, we have this whole carnation thing going on, and I don't know if I want the whole thing. I don't know if it'll all fit. We'll see. Oh yeah, we can do that. We can do that. That'll work. Okay, now we need a glue, or we need a ribbon for this. Now, what kind of lace will I put on here? This has got some peaches. It's got some darker pinks. The laces I had pulled out that I used really aren't going to work for this one. I'm trying not to pile here, but it's becoming increasingly... I don't think the pink is... I think the pink is too much. Let's see if we can find a white. And I have a mass of laces over here that I had pulled to work with this project. And I really like the ruffly stuff. I wish I had something that was a flatter ruffle. But I don't seem to have. Of course, if I had these in here the way they belong, it would probably be easier. Instead of all bunched up. You know, where I could just flip through them, but that didn't work that way. Let me check behind me and see what's over here in my other lace drawer that I might not have pulled out that I could have used. It's all my colors, vintage, 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 vintage. That one's not quite as ruffly, but it's more vintage and less white, and I really want the white. And I think that's why I had pretty much pulled out everything that I needed, or that I could use. Because I had pulled out whatever whites I had, whites and colors. So, I think we're there. I think it's going to have to be one of them I've already pulled out, whether I like it or not. So, let's, and this one's almost too yellow too. So, now here's one. It's pink, but it's different. But let's take, and I'll probably lose one here, but let's go ahead and take that. This is part of that Venetian lace that I showed you in my haul video last week. but I can't use this whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it off right here. And see, this is one thing to look at. When you have laces that have multiple patterns in them, you don't have to use the whole thing. You can get multiple uses out of that one piece of lace. Now, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, this has to be my craft glue. Tabby's up in her corner taking her bath. She has taken to laying on my dish, Joey. That seems to be her favorite place to sleep. Whether she's in the office, she's in the bedroom, she's down in Bobby's room. And I think I've decided it's because I'm freezing her out, because I like my house cold, particularly at night. And I think I'm freezing her, and that Joey is warm. Okay, so there's that. There's that. Now, I'm going to let that dry for a minute before I try clipping it off. But we need to find something to put at the top. And I think I want a white. I'm looking. I don't have a lot of white ribbons. Not narrow ones anyway. Oh, wait a minute. This one might be pretty. This is an old Stampin' Up! One. And it has a little shimmer to it. Let's cut that off. I've got to get this put on a bobbin card because it's going to come apart on me. Okay. So again, we're going to do like we did the other one, except I think I want to put maybe a pink baker's twine on here. So let's bring back our paper clip wherever it went. I lost my paper clip. Oh, well, I have more here. Never fear, I have all kinds of paper clips. Let me grab a piece of pink twine. I have most of my baker's twine wound. This is all I've got left to wind onto a card, as well as some ribbons. Let's do kind of like that one. Let's do this one. And we don't need a lot. But eventually all of my baker's twines will be like this, and they will go in a box, and so I can just flip through them. I can see the colors and know what I have to work with. Now, this was a little bit more twine than I needed, but with my fingers I had to have something I could work with, so that's okay. And we're going to squeeze that really tight and do that. And this has a little bit of a stretch to it. It's like as if you had unraveled a sweater. I kind of like that. Okay, and then we're going to come back, snip this off, just like that. And then just like we did on the other one, I'm going to come back and I'm going to put a dot of glue right there on that knot. This will dry clear, but it'll keep that knot from coming apart. As soon as I get... And I tried to pull that and I about pulled it apart. So let's get that sealed. And then that will seal that knot and it will not come undone. Okay, so we have made a hidden paper clip. And if you missed how I did that, here is another one. And I may go back and do all of those with the tide at the top. I kind of like that. Here's this one. And there's another one laying here. Oh yeah, this was the other one. And all you do, let's trim this one up. Now that we can play with it, let's trim this one up. So all you're doing is sandwiching your paper clip between your base card and your paper, and that's how you slide it over top of the page in your book. So that's going to do it for me in the studio today. I hope you enjoyed this project. I will be back tomorrow for an interesting take on tag for Tag Tuesday. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. Remember to like, to share, subscribe. Check out the All Things Altered hashtag down below, and you'll get a whole bunch of really cool ideas. Creative blessings.